One of the things that I'm most looking forward to about Cyberpunk 2077 is seeing how CD Projekt Red plans to implement Ciri from Witcher 3 into their new game. For those who don't know what I'm talking about, there's this really cool Witcher 3 Easter egg after Ciri finally meets up with Geralt. They are both by the fireplace exchanging some stories, and among the topics of conversation is how Ciri eluded the Wild Hunt by traveling between multiple worlds. There is one world in particular that a character named Avalact helped her find, and she stayed hidden there for half a year. And when Geralt inquired what this world was like, Ciri gave a rather interesting response. Check it out.
Eredin and his Red Riders were on my heels. I fled through many worlds, many times. They came very close to catching me once. It was then that Avalac appeared, out of nowhere. He found a portal and took us to a world where Eredin couldn't find us for, perhaps half a year.
The world where Eredin couldn't find you. What was it like?
You wouldn't believe me if I told you.
Try me.
People there had metal in their heads, waged war from a distance, using things similar to megascopes. And there were no horses. Everyone had their own flying ship instead.
Ciri, stop fooling around.
Told you wouldn't believe me. We should have stayed there.
I don't know about you, but I think it's quite clear that Ciri is referencing the world of Cyberpunk 2077. People had metal in their heads, she begins, and not on their heads, mind you, in their heads. It's a very important distinction. Sounds very reminiscent of cybernetic implants, wouldn't you say? Waged war from a distance, she proceeded. She's definitely talking about guns here, of which there are aplenty in the world of Cyberpunk. She then added, using things similar to megascopes. For those who don't know what megascopes are, they're essentially magical communication devices in the world of Witcher. So the cyberpunk equivalent to that would be phones or comlinks. Ciri finally concludes with, and there were no horses, everyone had their own flying ship instead. Notice how she says everyone has a flying ship, so she cannot be talking about more exclusive flying vehicles like choppers or airplanes. They have to be something more common like flying cars, or as they're known in the world of Cyberpunk, Aerodynes. CD Projekt Red definitely paid a lot of attention to Ciri's dialogue in this scene so that she clearly conveys that this is the world of Cyberpunk without giving too much away. So then the question becomes, how will we see Ciri integrated into the world of Cyberpunk 2077? The worst case scenario would be if this ended up just being a Witcher 3 Easter egg and developers had no real intentions of implementing Ciri as an NPC in Cyberpunk 2077. That definitely wouldn't be ideal, but if you ask me, this seems highly unlikely considering that this setup seems pretty deliberate. Not only does she specify that she hid in that world for a full 6 months, which is plenty of time for Ciri to make some kind of substantial appearance. When website Kotaku reached out to CD Projekt Red about the theory back in 2015, the answer they got was no comment. I don't know about you, but it sounds to me as though CD Projekt Red does have plans to use Witcher 3's Easter egg to implement some kind of substantial fan service in Cyberpunk 2077. My hope is that Ciri will end up playing a significant role in one of Cyberpunk 2077's side quests. She doesn't have to be a major character in the game's overarching narrative or anything, but having players meet her once at least would be pretty sweet. Just a one-shot side quest where we get to interact and have a little adventure with her and then never see her again. I think that would be the best way to go about it. I think the developers could easily find a way for Ciri to get into trouble with some of the locals of Night City, especially when you consider that Ciri is a foreigner in a very foreign land. And from there, maybe players could stumble upon her and somehow help her out, get her out of trouble, or some cool little moment. Or maybe they can make it so that we meet Ciri during her 6th month in Night City, and from there maybe players have to help her get back home, open up some kind of portal that takes her back to the world of Witcher. And this could be like a nice little direct bridge between the two worlds, but nothing so substantial that the two worlds are melding with each other or anything. Or hell, I would even be okay if we just heard some of the locals talking about this white-haired girl with weird clothes who just kind of came out of nowhere or whatever. Not as exciting as a full side quest, but as long as there's some kind of acknowledgement of Ciri's presence in the world of Cyberpunk 2077, I think I'd be pretty satisfied. But I honestly don't think it would be too far-fetched for CD Projekt Red to create a full side quest around this Witcher 3 Easter egg, and around Ciri and her cameo in Cyberpunk 2077. With a 6-month time frame to build some kind of story around Ciri's stay in Night City, I feel like it would be a lost opportunity to not play around with what could potentially be awesome fan service and a cool little mini adventure. I hope we can at least have a conversation with her, because it could be pretty hilarious to hear her talk about how she's faring in this completely alien world. These are just my thoughts and theories though. I'd love to hear what you think in the comments below. Also, if you enjoy my content, consider supporting me on Patreon so that we can maintain this channel without the need of third-party sponsorship or corporate interference. And to be further updated on all things Cyberpunk 2077, stay tuned right here on Young Yeah. I'll see you guys next time. Young out.